Hey guys, welcome to the second part of the TypeScript crash course. So on the first part, we've been reviewing what TypeScript is. That basically is a superset of JavaScript where we can do everything that or anything that we do with JavaScript, we can do it with TypeScript, but TypeScript allows us to add strong typing to the language. So we've been covering these basic types: Boolean, number, string, array, tuple, etc. And today what we are going to cover, we're going to cover arrow functions and object-oriented programming features in TypeScript. So we're going to cover arrow functions, interfaces, classes. Within classes, we're going to see what constructors are. We're going to see optional parameters, access modifiers, properties, and we are also going to review what modules are. Remember to subscribe to the channel and let's get started. Okay guys, these are the basic TypeScript types that we've been reviewing on the previous video. So definitely check that video out. So let's create a new file. Let's call it main.ts. And let's get started by creating an arrow function. Let's say that we want to calculate the area of a square. So we create a function like this. Let calculate area. And we declare an arrow function. And here we pass a square. And let's say that we find the square here, square as an object literal, and let's say, I don't know, width 4, height 4. Let's move this down so we can call this function. Let's say that we include all the code that we need to calculate the area. And let's say that we call that function here, calculate area, and we pass the square. In this case, what we can do to improve, because here we have parameter, it could be anything. So in order to add a type to that square, we can do something like this. We can declare our square, and we say that it's going to have a width, that is going to be a number, and it's going to have a height, that is going to be a number as well. Okay. Using this, we have some kind of typing on the square, but it's not that good, right? It could be improved. And in order to improve this, we can use interfaces. So let's define an interface. Square, and we're going to say that the interface square is going to have these two properties, width and height. And now, instead of using this, we can say a square is a square. This square parameter has the interface square. And now we can say square A of type of interface square, and we can assign those values. This is going to be square A. Okay. And now we can call that arrow function using an square, in this case the square A variable, that has the same interface that we declare here as an argument. If we have a square that has a width, has a height, and we have a function or a method, or a function in this case that is called calculate area, it makes sense to create a class and group all that functionality and add cohesion to all these things. So in order to do that, we can create a class. We can declare that using the class keyword, and we can say that it's going to be, let's do this here. We have the class square, and this class has two properties, or two attributes, width and height. And what we can do here is we can move this function that now is going to be a method, because when we move a function within a class, now we call that a method. Okay, here should be the implementation of the method. We can add, I don't know, any other method. For example, if you want to zoom the areas, or if you want to apply math between multiple squares, or the area of the squares, we can add a method like some areas or some area, and we can pass another square as an argument here. And here we can add the implementation of that method. Okay, let's remove this. And now what we can do is we can create a new instance of this object. But in order to do that, we need to add a constructor for this class. There is a reserved word provided by TypeScript that is called constructor. And here we can pass these two values, the width and the height of the square. And here we can assign this that width equals width, and the same with height. This that height equals height. And now we can create a new instance of this class using this constructor. New square, and we can pass 4 and 4, for example. And then we can invoke any of these methods that are public. Square A that calculate area, for example. Or we can create another square B. Square B, let's say 5 and 5. And we can say square A dot sum area, and we can pass square B. Let's transpile this code into JavaScript and let's see what we get. tsc main.ts, and now if we check the JavaScript file, we get a variable named square, and here we have a function. We have the prototype with these two methods that now are functions, and here we instantiate the square using the function here. Okay, let's move on to some other features provided by TypeScript. For example, in this case, let's say if I don't pass this variable, I get an error, I get a type error. And if I don't pass any variable here, I get an error because these arguments are required. So how can I make these arguments optional? So in order to do that, I need to add this question mark here. And now I don't have to pass those values anymore. I'm going to remove this. And now what I can do, because these two attributes or properties of the class are public, I can do square a dot width, and I'm able to assign values directly here. And the same for the height of the square. In object-oriented programming, there are some other characteristics that are named access modifiers. For example, in this case, calculate area is public by default. We don't add this because it's redundant, but we can also make this private or protected. Remember that private is accessible from within the same class. Protected is accessible from the same hierarchy, and public is accessible from anywhere else. So let's say that I declare width as private. And now, as we can see here, we get an error because width is private and is only accessible within the class square. So a good practice is always declare private these properties and provide access by using getters and setters, like this. We have get, and we have width, and here we can say return this dot width. Or we can add a setter method like this, set width, and we pass a value here that is going to be a number. Let's add the space here. And here we can assign this dot width, and we assign the value that we receive as an argument here. And now we can do something like this. I'm going to remove this just to use the width as the example. So now we are able to assign the value to the width of the square because we define this set that is public. And another good practice is actually adding an underscore before these variables. Sorry, here. And what we can do now is we can change the name of the getter and the setter. Without using a capital letter at the beginning. And another cool feature that is provided by TypeScript that is going to make our code shorter and simpler is actually we can remove this and we can declare as private our variables here. We can add the underscore here, the same for the height, private underscore height, and we just remove this and we have the same that we had before. What I need to do here is I need to return this underscore width and we're good to go. So this is a simpler way to define two instance variables and also assigning the modifier to the variable. Okay, usually the projects in TypeScript or any big project in general contains multiple classes, so we don't want to have all the classes defined in one file. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new file. Let's call it square.ts, and let's move on the class definition to that new file. Okay, so now what we have here is when we add this export keyword that basically allow us to use this class outside this file. Now we have a module. Now we have the square module. So in order to use that module outside this file, we need to import it. So import, and here we need to use brackets, and here we say we are going to import the class square from, and here we say what is the location where this definition is declared, and we say square. We don't use .ts. This is going to throw an error, so we just use square without the extension. And now we are able to use the class outside that file. If I comment this, you're going to see that we get an error. If we remove the comment, now we are able to access the square, and also we are going to navigate to the class definition that is on the square module here. Okay, that's pretty much what I have for today. So in the first part, we reviewed the basic types provided by TypeScript. And in this second part, we reviewed classes, interfaces, constructors, getters, setters, access modifiers, and modules. So hopefully you got some value from this. And now you are going to be able to use TypeScript in Angular applications, React applications, Vue.js applications, and on the server side in Node applications. So thank you for watching, and I see you guys on the next one. Take care. Bye.